Johnson County's virtual 2021 observance of Veterans Day. My name is Ed Eilert, Chairman of the Johnson County Board of Commissioners. It is a great honor to stand before you to share in recognizing all our local veterans. We have again organized a virtual Veterans Day ceremony. This decision was difficult, but necessary because of COVID-19 concerns. But what's truly important is that we show our appreciation and respect to our veterans any way possible. Originally called Armistice Day, the change to Veterans Day occurred in Emporia, Kansas in 1953. Armistice Day was followed the World War I treaty more than a century ago. And that idea, renaming Armistice Day to Veterans Day, originated, as I said, in Emporia. And they were the first town in the country to operate a total all-Veterans Day. However, a year later, Armistice Day was changed to Veterans Day by President Dwight Eisenhower, who grew up in Abilene, along with an act of Congress. The traditional celebration of both Veterans Day and Armistice Day remains unchanged, with that Armistice Treaty that occurred on the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month. It is now that time to once again celebrate Veterans Day. Let's begin with the invocation by Chaplain Dennis Baker from the Olathe American Legion Post 135. His remarks will be followed by a video of the Swing Shift Barbershop Quartet performing the national anthem. Chaplain Baker, the podium is yours.
Thank you, Chairman Eilert. Let us pray. O God, eternal Father and everlasting King of heaven and earth, we render you acknowledgement of your supreme dominion over us and the gratitude of your parental solicitude and watchfulness. As we gather here in humble recognition of your divine providence, we beseech you to usher into our world of confusion and doubt, peace and tranquility, which alone can come from you. Bless and protect our nation. Be merciful to our honored dead, the memory of whose valor, courage, and heroism inspire us to noble action and to the eternal vigilance in the preservation of our priceless liberty and of our inalienable rights to enduring happiness. Guide and direct our minds to a thorough understanding of our duties to you, to our country, and to one another. Awaken in our hearts the desire and the will to accomplish the ideas for which this nation exists, to that out of our determination and endeavor there may emerge a better world, a world founded upon faith and understanding, a world dedicated to the preservation of individual rights and the dignity of man, to a world of tolerance and justice, a world intended on love and serving you, our Lord and Master. Amen.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight night's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red rockets glaring gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free, and the home of the brave.
Would you join with me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. At this time, I'd like to welcome all veterans, active members of our armed forces, reserves, and residents who are watching our online celebration. Today, we salute veterans and thank all of them. Our veterans have given us the chance to live in freedom today and an opportunity to look forward to freedom tomorrow. Whether they served in the European theater or Pacific theater in Korea or Vietnam, Iraq, or Afghanistan, when they returned home decades ago or just a few days ago, generations of veterans always matter. They reflect the best in our country and in us. They are all heroes. They include the greatest generation, veterans in World War II and the Korean War, the baby boomers in the Vietnam War, and Generation X in Desert Storm 30 years ago. Millennials and Generation Z veterans have fought in the War on Terror and served in Iraq and Afghanistan. Young adults from the Generation Alpha, many of whom are children of millennials, have now joined our military ranks and are our youngest veterans. 6 generations of veterans are our nation's pride and legacy. We celebrate this day. We honor veterans today because we know that without them, there would be no land of the free. They are people who know the true meaning of courage and the price of freedom and devotion to duty. Because of them and active members of our armed forces, we are free. Freedom, however, has never been free. Since the terrorist attack 20 years ago, slightly more than 7,000 American lives have been lost in Iraq and Afghanistan. It hit home a decade ago when a helicopter was shot down in Afghanistan that killed 38 troops, including 31 U.S. soldiers. The crew was the highest, that crash was the highest single-day loss of American lives in Operation Enduring Freedom. The downed CH-47 Chinook helicopter was based at the 7th Battalion, 158th Aviation Regiment at the New Century Airport near Gardner. Chief Warrant Officer Richard Tank Sherman, unit commander at that time, is participating by video to tell us about Bravo Company Spartans and about serving in Afghanistan.
I've deployed 3 times to Afghanistan. I went back in '03 with the 101st. When I went the first time, we were the first Army unit into Kandahar. So that was tent living. The bathrooms were holes in the ground that you had to fill in. You're burning your things. You're eating MREs for a couple of months. Went back in 05, 06. We did a lot of resupply, but we did a couple of deliberate ops where you did combat operations. 2017, when we went, our primary mission was to fly the Special Forces who had Afghani commandos that they were leading. With the F model, it's got an automated hover system, so you'd fly into a dust cloud. Well, not super automated, you still have to manage it a little bit, but we could fly into dust clouds where you couldn't see anything under goggles, and you could still land, whereas in the older ones, we called them the Dirty D landing, where you basically hit and slide because you had to keep up so that you didn't get engulfed in the dust because you couldn't see. And then 11, 12 is when the shoot down happened. I didn't go in 11 and 12 because I had been promoted out of the unit. When they left, I left before them to go do a staff assignment in Italy. And I remember thinking that they were going to roll out the door without me. And I was like, I remember thinking to myself, this kind of stinks. I'm not going to get to say goodbye to him. I won't see him for 2 years. So what had happened is it was an over midnight mission. They went night to early morning. They'd inserted some Rangers to go and engage. They got caught up in a TIC, troops in combat contact. The SEALs were sent in as the backup or to reinforce them. And unfortunately, they were flying in and they flew into the range of a guy that just took a shot at the noise. And when I was at home, when the shoot down happened, I kind of wasn't hearing anything, so I called the rear detachment commander. I said, "Hey, everything okay?" And he just kind of had a curt answer, and that's when I kind of knew that it was probably one of ours. The worst part is when you're back here, you feel helpless. Bennett, I knew the least, or him and Spencer I didn't know as well because I wasn't in the unit as much when they were there. He was a good kid that really wanted to be a good aviation soldier. He never really talked about his dad, but when I went to the memorial down there, his dad was stationed at Fort Hood because his parents were divorced, and his dad showed up, and he was an Army aviator, and then it clicked on kind of why he tried so hard. I remember he came in because he was in the maintenance company. He was wanting to come over because he was looking at future being a crew chief. Brian was actually a really good friend of mine. He was one of the pilots that came in when I was the commander. He was a good pilot, so I brought him in as a unit administrator because even though he couldn't fly as a civilian, he'd be here so he could get on the flight schedule. He was just a good guy. You could smoke and joke with him, loved flying with him. In fact, there's a YouTube video going around where we inserted the pace car at the Texas Motor Speedway, and he was my pilot or co-pilot on that mission. So that's probably the coolest thing I've ever done in the Army, and it's sad that my greatest memory is also tied to one of my saddest because he was probably my closest friend that I've lost in the entire war. It's the ultimate sacrifice. The Army's got the saying, all gave some gave all. When the whole thing went down with the Libyan embassy, my first question was, why was anybody even out of the embassies on 9/11? Because the date means something, and that's when people are going to do stuff to try and hit it, because if they can do it on 9/11, they got the symbolism of it. So the fact that that really is the only 9/11 event most people remember means that fixing the enemy and engaging them in Afghanistan, while we were in that country, they were too focused on us, the troops, to go project their power and do anything else. And the problem with that mission is people don't see the success because nothing's happened. We owed the Afghans a chance. And them being over there fighting the Taliban gave the Afghans their chance. And just because they couldn't cross the finish line, everybody's given somebody a chance that failed, but you still felt you owed them the chance. A lot of people that were bad people are no longer around because of the missions they did. So they put in perspective what putting on this uniform is about. You take risks to help others.
3 crew members on that Chinook were Spartans. 2 lived in Johnson County. Sergeant Alexander Benton, a native of Tacoma, Washington, resided in Overland Park. He was a flight engineer on the helicopter. He was 24 years old. Specialist Spencer Duncan was a door gunner and a Johnson County native. He was born in Merriam and graduated from Olathe South High School. He was 21. On that sad fateful August day, Megan and Dale Duncan of Olathe became Gold Star parents. The Gold Star tradition dates to World War I, when families with relatives in the armed forces flew flags and banners with a blue star for loved ones serving in the war. If the service member was killed or died while in military service, the blue star was replaced by a gold one. It allowed members of the community to know the price that the family had paid in the cause of freedom. It's a distinction no family wants. Miss Megan Duncan, mother of Spencer, has joined us today to share her story. Miss Duncan.
Thank you, Chairman. When the Twin Towers fell on 9/11, there were two little boys that came home from school that day and asked a bunch of questions, and we talked about it in ways that seemed appropriate for their ages. And that day kind of marked a time when we became a little bit more aware of the price of freedom in our country. And in the past 20 years, our family has become progressively more aware of what that freedom costs. Our oldest son, Spencer, joined the United States Army Reserves right out of high school. And our middle son, Tanner, joined the Marine Corps also when he was in high school. And when those two things happen, you start thinking about, okay, well, this kind of changes the trajectory of what we thought was going to happen. And you became a little bit more aware of the price of freedom. And then Spencer's unit was called up for a humanitarian deployment to Haiti. And we became really aware of how much our soldiers and our warriors sacrifice to do their jobs. We watched people get ready for a rapid deployment, which included quitting jobs that they had just landed, or doing hurry-up weddings because their wedding was originally scheduled for a time when now that soldier was going to be gone. We watched them say goodbye to children and say goodbye to pregnant wives and know that they were not going to be there for those kinds of things. And it just becomes we became more aware that our everyday freedoms and the things that we take for granted are provided by the people who are willing to serve. We became more aware of the cost of freedom when Spencer was deployed to Afghanistan, and then shortly after, our son Tanner left for Marine boot camp. And then on August 6th, 2011, when our doorbell rang, and there were two uniformed officers standing at our door to tell us that our son was gone. And every day since then, we've become increasingly more aware of the price of our freedom. In the past 10 years, we've become more aware of how our military works. And although I have not a military mind and certainly not the experience of a military, we've become appreciative of the way that things operate and the things that are done. And something that Tank said in that video about when nothing happens, we kind of seem to forget. And it's only when big things happen that we truly remember what our military is for. Through the past nearly 250 years, there have been people who have been willing to sacrifice for us to live in freedom. And if you think about your everyday life, when I think about my everyday life and how I live where I choose, and I had education, free, great education available to my children, and I get to choose who and how and where I worship, and I get to move about freely in my day-to-day life and resources at our fingertips. And you think about the things that we have that other countries don't have. We have fresh food available whenever we want it. We have fully stocked grocery stores except for the pandemic and the toilet paper, and I can't even with y'all about that, seriously. But this is our way of life, and we become comfortable with it. We become maybe even complacent in it because we can, because those who do their jobs so well allow that to happen. If you are a veteran, please know that I honor you. Whether you have been deployed, battle deployed, or served stateside, if you have fired at the enemy or you have signed paperwork, if you make tactical decisions or you swab decks, or you cook meals or you repair vehicles, or you chauffeur officers or you recruit the next generation, or you guard an embassy or you sweep the floors, whatever you do that you have been assigned to do, you are part of a team, a very elite team, the very best team that has done and continues to do the work that few are willing or able to do, and that is protect and defend the greatest country. This is your day, Veterans Day. You did your job, and you took the place of those of us who didn't go. You said, pick me, send me. I will stand between my country and those who would seek to harm or destroy it. You get this day. You deserve this day. You deserve the free meals and the thank yous and the handshakes and all the gratitude. And you know what? You deserve those every single day, not just today. To our beloved Spartans of the 7/158th, you know that we love you. We are praying you there and back and every day in between. You know all too well the sacrifices that were made for freedom, that have been made for freedom, the sacrifices that you are making for freedom. And if you come home broken, we will be there to help you. And if you come home and things aren't the way they need to be for you, we will help you, because that's the least that we can do. We honor you. We can't wait to have you home. Happy Veterans Day to all those who have served. God bless you, and God bless America.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Megan, thank you very much for those comments and telling us about the brave, wonderful young man and the loss of him in your story. The loss of a child at any age is always the deepest pain of all for parents and families. Our thoughts and prayers continue to be with you, for you and for your family. And again, thank you very much for joining us today in this special celebration. Your comments were very, very meaningful. The third Spartan was Chief Warrant Officer Brian Nichols. He was a Hays, Kansas native. He was a 31-year-old pilot of the Chinook and a resident of Kansas City, Missouri. Captain Mason McCoy, the current unit commander, shares some thoughts in the next video about renaming the hangar at the Air Center after Chief Warrant Officer Nichols and his legacy to Bravo Company.
Obviously, that was extremely important to honor CW2 Nichols, his family, and his legacy, and all of those from Extortion 17. It was really, really a special moment and a special event. You know, so many of the members of the unit knew CW2 Nichols and members of Extortion 17, and he's somebody that I look to as somebody that just makes me want to be a better leader, person, aviator, and be the best that I can be for this company, and ultimately I think the entire company would say the same. Spencer Duncan, Brian Nichols, Alexander Bennett, all the members of Extortion 17, they're all in our hearts, you know, every day.
Naming a hangar after a pilot lost in war is a fitting tribute. Years ago, this same hangar was part of the bygone Olathe Naval Air Station that trained pilots in World War II and the Korean War. We now come to a special part of the program with the playing of, or in this case, the singing of, the Armed Forces Medley. From Wild Blue Yonder to Anchors Aweigh, the Marines Hymn, to The Army Goes Rolling Along, and the Coast Guard Always Ready, this popular military medley salutes veterans, reservists, and all service men and women from all branches of our armed forces. The Armed Forces medley, performed by the Swing Shift, is in our next video.
When the bugle sounds the call, we will answer one and all. We will fight for the right to be free. From the halls of Montezuma to the shores of Tripoli, we will fight our country's battles in the air, on land and sea. First to fight for right and freedom, and to keep our honor clean. We are proud to claim the title of United States Marines. Anchors aweigh, my boys, anchors aweigh. Farewell to college joys, we sail at break of day. To our last night on shore, drink to the foam. And till we meet once more, here's wishing you a happy voyage home. First to fight for the right and to build the nation's might, and the army rolling along, proud of all we have done, fighting till the battle's won. And the army goes rolling along. Then it's hi, hi, hey, the army's on its way. Count off the cadence loud and strong, for where'er we go, you will always know that the army goes rolling along. Oh, off we go into the wild blue yonder, climbing high into the sun. Here they come, zooming to meet our thunder. At 'em, boys, give 'em the gun, give 'em the gun. Down we dive, spouting our flames from under. Off with one hell of a roar. We live in fame or go down in flames. Oh, nothing can stop the U.S. Air Force. Oh, beautiful for spacious skies, for amber waves of grain, for purple mountain majesties above the fruited plain. America, America, God shed his grace on thee, and crown thy good with brotherhood, from sea to shining sea. Oh, beautiful for patriots' dream that sees beyond the years. Thine alabaster cities gleam, undimmed by human tears. America, America, God shed his grace on thee, and crown thy good with brotherhood, from sea to shining sea. From sea to shining sea. America, 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 America.
Well done, quartet. You know, I do miss applauding the veterans who attend our celebration and stand during the playing of their service anthem. And we look forward to once again being able to enjoy and recognize you. You know, whether it's a gathering of a virtual observation Veterans Day, you know, it remains a never-ending story with an everlasting purpose. Yet, a growing number of veterans face potential chapters in their lives with life-changing issues, perhaps of criminality, substance abuse, medical health crisis, and risk of suicide. Since January 2016, our Veterans Treatment Court, the first such program in Kansas, has helped veterans in the criminal justice system to turn their lives around. Instead of jailing, veterans accused of crimes are assigned to the special court, where they receive treatment, counseling, support, and even mentoring from fellow veterans. The program is rigorous, structured, and is not an easy way out. Johnson County's Veteran Treatment Court has successfully graduated 45 veterans, with 20 currently in the class. We also have assisted Wyandotte County District Court to start its Veterans Treatment Program, and talks also continue with district courts in Sedgwick, Leavenworth, and Shawnee County to help them start similar court programs. Johnson County does have a wide net of community partners, including the Veterans Administration and Johnson County Mental Health Center. These partnerships help engage veterans in positive activities and self-improvement programs and services for vets and residents in substance abuse, mental health challenges, or including an alarming rate of suicides. Here to talk about this tragic trend is Tim DeWeese, Director of Johnson County Mental Health. Mr. DeWeese, the podium is yours.
Thank you, Chairman Eilert. It's an honor and privilege to be a part of this celebration. Over the last 2 years, we have learned the importance and the role mental health plays within the wellness of our community. Today, I would like to focus on the importance of supporting the mental health among our veteran community. I believe that each of us has a responsibility and an obligation to our veterans to have their six, in recognition of their service and sacrifice for us and our nation. A critical part of that is to ensure the availability and access to quality mental health and addiction services for those who've served in our armed forces. Sadly, since 9/11, 4 times as many U.S. service members and veterans have died of suicide rather than being killed in combat. That means that more than 114,000 veterans have died by suicide since 2001, which is roughly an average of 17 deaths by suicide each day. As a director of Johnson County Mental Health Center, and more importantly as a veteran, I believe that it's imperative that we serve those who have served our country, and particularly those who experience mental health issues or substance abuse issues. In 2018, the Community Care for Veterans program was established by the VA Mission Act. Its primary purpose was to connect veterans with community providers to make certain that veterans could receive care where they live, work, and socialize, rather than having to travel to a VA center. This means today, a veteran in Johnson County can receive services from Johnson County Mental Health. Many veterans are living healthier, better lives today after reaching out for help. I challenge each of you today to reach out to a veteran, thank them for their service, and remind them that when facing challenges or hard times, they are not alone. The easiest way to help a veteran is to access care through our Johnson County Mental Health Crisis Line. You can call that line at 913-268-0156. It's my honor to have served the country in the United States Army, and it continues to be my honor to serve this community as a mental health director. Please help me ensure that we continue to promote the health and wellness of all our veterans. Thank you.
Tim, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tim, for providing guidance on available community resources to serve our veterans, those who have needs. We now move to the portion of our program honoring veterans living and those who have died with the traditional laying of memorial wreaths. This video will show includes representatives from local veterans organizations. The site for the wreath presentation is the Brian Nichols Hangar.
The first wreath is presented on behalf of the Kansas and local chapters of the Daughters of the American Revolution. Our presenters are Laura Kaiser and Jerry Kling. Our next wreath honors Korean War veterans. It's presented by Korean War veteran Tom Cooper. The next wreath pays tribute to Vietnam veterans. It's presented by Vietnam veteran John Smith of American Legion Post 153 in Olathe. Our next wreath honors veterans of Desert Storm, the War on Terror, and the men and women who served in Iraq and Afghanistan. It's presented by Mark Van Bali, who served in Saudi Arabia in the aftermath of Desert Storm, and Luke Monroe of the Army Reserve's Aviation Unit at New Century. The next wreath represents the veterans of foreign wars. It's presented by Abe Rivera of VFW Post 11234 in Gardner. Our next wreath represents the American Legion. It's presented by David Heck of American Legion Post 19 in Gardner. The next wreath honors all soldiers who remain listed as either missing in action or possible prisoners of war. It's presented by Ray Kalor from VFW Post 846 in Overland Park. The next wreath is from the American Legion Auxiliary. It's presented by Gene Gormer of American Legion Post 19 in Gardner. Our final two wreaths represent the disabled American veterans. They are presented by John and Lois Hain of Chapter 34 and its auxiliary in Overland Park.
A special thank you to our wreath presenters from our local veterans organizations for their participation in today's Veterans Day program. Our next videos will present the traditional firing of the 21-gun salute to honor all our veterans and the playing of taps, provided by the Gardner American Legion Leroy Hill Post 19. The post was named after the First World War casualty from Gardner and recently celebrated its centennial. Following taps, Chaplain Baker will give the benediction.
Firing squad, attention. Port arms. Half right face. Aim. Fire. Aim. Fire. Aim. Fire. Half left face. Order. Arms.
Chaplain Baker, will you join me at the podium?
Thank you, Chairman Eiler. O God of people and nations, we pause at the closing of this ceremony to acknowledge again your sovereignty over our lives and our country. We remember before you our comrades now departed this life. We honor them for their loyalty to God and country, for their good deeds and for their friendship. May they rest in peace. May the good works that you have begun in them be brought to perfection, that our nation may be strong and our people secure and happy. Amen.
Amen. Chaplain, thank you very much. In closing, I would like to thank Chaplain Baker, Megan Duncan, and Tim DeWeese for their participation in our ceremony today. And also thank you to the video participants, Tank Sherman and Bravo Company of the 7th Battalion, 158th Aviation Regiment, and we thank all the Spartans of that regiment for their military service. Thank you to the Swing Shift Barbershop Quartet. Great job, guys. The Gardner American Legion for the rifle salute and taps. Thanks also go especially to our county staff from the Department of Technology and Innovation, who helped tremendously to make this program available, as well as our county manager's office, who worked very, very hard to ensure that our community had the opportunity to honor our veterans. And finally, we thank all our online viewers for joining our presentation today to observe Veterans Day. In honoring our veterans on this day in this unique way, on behalf of Johnson County government and the Johnson County community, I extend to each and every veteran and their families the deepest gratitude for their military service and the precious gift that they've given to each and every one of us, our freedom. America is truly the home of the free because it is also the home of the brave. We are proud of our veterans and grateful to each of them. It cannot be said often enough to our veterans, thank you for your service. To end our program, our final video will feature the Swing Shift Quartet singing God Bless America.
While the storm clouds gather far across the sea, let us swear allegiance to a land that's free. Let us all be grateful for a land so fair as we raise our voices in a solemn prayer. stand beside her and guide her through the night with a light from above, from the mountains to the prairies to the oceans white with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home. My home. God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with a light from above. From the mountains to the prairies to the oceans white with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, my own sweet home. America, 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 my home.
God bless America. God bless our veterans. Thank you.